My name's Tarun Nayyar. I work in the search marketing team as a digital optimization consultant. For the past 12 months, I've been working very closely with social media and the Spreadfast project that some of you may be aware of, but if not, I'm going to go through that today. So the main purpose of this presentation is to explain to you how to best use engagement to drive social. Now, no presentation would be a presentation without a cliche corporate image, and the type of engagement that I'm going to speak to you today about is internal engagement, so that's the team I worked with engaging with the RBI teams, and then external engagement, so those teams that we initially interacted with, how they interact outbound with their social media audience. So the first thing that we had to do, First thing that we had to do was actually find out what our users are using currently. So that would be the social tools. As you can see, Hootsuite and TweetDeck, those were the two most popular tools. And some of you may still be using that today, as not everyone does have a Spreadfast account. But those were the two main platforms that our users used, as well as them, the native platforms, Facebook, Twitter, etc. The next step for our team was to actually find out how many people within the business use social media. So we reached out to the key social media champions from each market, and as you can see around the main center image are various spreadsheets that we actually collated, and from that work we found out that there are 209 unique users of social media within RBI that use it for a business purpose, and between them they have 381 accounts, and this was around 12 months ago, and I'm certain that this has now increased. After engaging our end users and the people that actually use social media, it was time to now engage the senior stakeholders, so board members, publishing directors, marketing managers, and so forth. And what really engages them are numbers. So we had the difficult task of actually trying to work out a value for social media, because at that point social media wasn't seen as a priority channel like SEO or PPC or email. The tracking was very limited, so it's very difficult for us to actually put a pound value on social media and what it is as a value to the business. However, working with the analytics team, we were able to come up with a figure, and that figure was around the £150,000 mark for 2013. Now that includes subscriptions, job applications, email registrations, and MQLs. All of those things have a unique value to each market, which we, like I mentioned, work with the analytics team and the individual markets to find out that value. Now, with all of that information about how many users there are for each market, what everything's worth in each market, we had to create a presentation and a way to display all of this information. You know, we had the very difficult task of engaging all kinds of users, from end users in editorial marketing up to CEO level. And the best way we found to engage was to actually create an infographic. Now this infographic is actually just one that I've had to chop into 3 pieces here because of how much information is on there. However, presenting it in this format is a lot more engaging, it's a lot more interactive, and it allows you to flow through the points that you're trying to make and actually get the buy-in from senior stakeholders who have to actually sign off that budget, as well as the end user who has to be happy to use the product that you're trying to suggest. As a result of all of our findings, all of our meetings and research, we invested in a tool called Spreadfast that some of you may be using already. If not, hopefully you would have heard of it. And what I want to do now is actually go through some of the numbers. So when we first implemented Spreadfast and we had as many users authenticate their social media accounts, the combined audience of those users was around 2.2 million. Publishing activity in 3 months was around 32,000, And for all of the posts, there was a combined engagement of 1.2 million with 36 average engagements per post. So this was the first 3 months from when Spreadfast was implemented 3 months later. And then what I've got here is a comparison of the next 3 months. So the social audience increased by 0.4 million, 16.2%. Engagement more than doubled actually as a result of using Spreadfast. So previously it was 1.2, that was the combined engagement, but now it's 2.6 million, and that's the combined actions. Now engagement, you might be wondering, what does that actually mean? That means likes, shares, retweets, favorites, comments, any kind of social engagement on any of the networks, plus clicking of URLs that our guys share on social media. Average engagement went from around 35, 36 up to 96 actions per social post. And also, if you'll notice, publishing activity actually decreased by 16.4%, which is showing us that we're more efficient with our time, and we've been able to work out exactly how to improve what we're already posting. And if we look side by side, we can see the numbers next to each other. So you can see 168% increase on average engagement. And I think the main thing to note from this is actually how the publishing activity has gone down, but engagement has increased significantly, meaning that we're saving time, we're being smarter with our posts, and users are finding it more interactive and more engaging. And I am always very happy about that, and always sit there clapping to the editorial staff for their great work. Now, you might wonder how this was actually achieved. Now, Spreadfast itself provides many different kinds of analytics. What I've got up on the screen here is the actual social network demographics and information that it presents to us. So if you see on the left hand side on Facebook, it tells us where our users are based, whether they're male or female, and the people that are actually talking about us and engaging with us. What kind of people are they? Where are they based? With LinkedIn, it would tell us what industry people work in, what job titles they have, how big's the company, where are they based. And with Twitter, it tells us the best type of post, whether it be a picture or a video or a link, and then tells us all the different kinds of engagement actions that we're getting back from our posts. Now, by knowing all of this information, you're able to tailor your posts and engage with your audience because you understand them. Before we implemented Spreadfast and actually looked deep into the analytics, we were flying blind almost. There was no tracking on our social media, so any person that clicked on the link, if they came onto the website, we had no idea whether or not it was because someone else had shared a link, or it was the great content that we were producing and sharing that created that lead or subscription or any kind of conversion. Now, the next kind of analytics that I want to go through are the detailed analytics that Spreadfast produces. So what this tool does is it collates all the information from all the different social networks, and it is immensely powerful, and it will tell you what the best time of day is to interact with a certain audience on Facebook, or what kind of post has led to conversions, and it will tell you things like which kind of people interact with you most, what content has worked, what users have retweeted you, and then you have your own custom dashboards within the platform itself to display all this information very quickly, very easily, and it's always there for you. You can apply all sorts of filters to narrow down, or you can keep it as broad as you like. Examples of this in action, I wanted to take a post from Farmers Weekly. They posted an article called 10 Things Every Farmer's Child Should Know, and this post, using Spreadfast and other analytics that we've helped to introduce to their team, created 8 registrations, 34 job applications, and 150 contact sellers on their classified site. And the actual value of this one post is almost £3,000. Without tracking, without the analytics, we wouldn't have known this firstly, and we couldn't have attributed this value back to Farmers Weekly and say, look, this post here made you almost £3,000. Another example I've got here is actually from Hairdresser's Journal. On the right hand side, I've got the analytics that Spreadfast show you now on a post level, where it will tell you everything you need to know about that individual post. It will tell you all the social interactions that have occurred and all of the actions that have occurred on Omniture as well. On the left hand side, I just wanted to include this for some of users who have actually used Spreadfast in the past. That's actually what it used to look like, where it did show you all the data that you need to see on one page. So you've got your visits, your job applications, your subscriptions down the left hand side, and then the social post and all the social information there as well. As a result of using Spreadfast, of having this tool, of tracking every kind of link imaginable, well, in an ideal world we'd like to track every link, but not every user has Spreadfast, we're actually able now to report on a level that we've never ever been able to report on before for social media. Here are a couple of examples of monthly dashboards that myself and my team send out to each of the markets. So what we have are trend graphs showing visits, job applications, subscriptions, MQLs, and any kind of data that the market has requested to see. We're able to split this up by tracked, untracked, and then total, and see across time how things are performing, whether there's peaks and troughs, and actually identify why this is happening and work out where to solve any issues if there are any, or build upon good work that's going on. Underneath the graphs, we are actually able to export every single message that is posted on social media from the authenticated accounts in Spreadfast. And what it will tell us is how many engagement actions that post has had and how many clicks it's had. And those are the two things that we also report on within that section of the report. And the reason we do that is because we want to allow our users to know what message are people really engaging with. And we want to show this information very quickly and very easy, because sometimes it is easy to over digest the information and get lost in all of the analytics that I've presented. So we've created this nice, neat dashboard customized for each market. So the business impact that we've had since the implementation of Spreadfast is that tracked social media visits went from around 8% in 2013 up to over 40% to date, which is a huge increase just from implementing Spreadfast and our own tool, RBI Social, that we created to track links on social media. For all of 2013, we could attribute 188 subscriptions from social media. That was tracked and untracked. And in 2014 up to date, there's 612 already. So that's before the rush of Christmas where people are buying subs. And as we are moving, especially on the editorial side, into a business that is reliant on registrations and placing gates on people, so hopefully that they subscribe, we can see that registrations have actually shot up since January. Now that may be due to the engagement piece, it may be due to tracking our links. We wouldn't be able to necessarily know that from previous, but from now on we have this data, so we can now tell whether or not it's our good work or whether it's trends. And the other thing that we do is, the team I work in, we try and be as engaging as possible. We try to make as many resources as possible available to everyone, whether they be YouTube videos, presentations, or customized guides that we've created for markets on request. And that is my presentation. Thank you very much. Are there any questions?
I noticed that Acuity only had 3 social media users, which I think was the lowest amount. Are you working with each of the businesses to help us improve our social presence?
Yes.
Okay.
Me personally, I was working with Acuity.
Right.
That's now changed to Matt.
Oh, that stuff.
Yes, okay. But I did write a strategy for them, so that's actually one of the other bits of work that we conduct as a team is actually writing social strategies and audits, how to improve. And a big focus for us moving forwards next year is paid social.
Yeah.
So the likes of Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, it's long gone are the days of organic social where you can get your message across and just have great content. Because of the way that these companies operate, unfortunately they want to make as much money as possible, and the emphasis is now placed on paid social, which should almost be seen like PPC.
Do you notice a difference between more of the data services versus more of the editorial driven businesses in terms of their social success?
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah. I mean, it's so obvious to see from day one. We're able to see, even just from looking at the numbers of their audience size, the editorial teams, they have content that is interesting to users to just read regularly on a daily basis. Whereas I feel 12 months ago when we first started looking at these projects, the data services were more orientated around describing their products and talking more technical, whereas editorial, you've got a broader audience, so it's easier to be more engaging, if you will, and have audience outside of your immediate catchment, if you will.
Do you think there's scope to apply the insights into what content areas that the users are most engaged with? Do you think there's scope to apply that to some of our product development and innovation sort of strategies? I mean, I don't know if you've got that level of analysis
to some extent, yes. I would say the thing is with social, because of the editorial side of things, if there's a conversion, it will be relatively straightforward in terms of a subscription or a registration or a job application. So on that side of things, there's not too much scope, whereas with the data services, it takes quite a long time from it, being an MQL all the way to closing and then working out what product they actually purchased as a result. So I would say it would take further analysis, but what you could actually do is work out what pieces of content you're creating and why people are engaging with that. Maybe you're focusing on a particular area and that is what people are most interested in. So maybe you could take that information and then apply it to the product.
Yeah, you could maybe add some insights to personas about if you're able to identify the job, any sort of demographic details of the person consuming the content. Potentially we could add what they like on social media to our personas.
Of course, I mean, one of the things that I actually suggested to Acuity is once we had the LinkedIn data, we could see that the companies' size of people that follow us are massive companies. They're 10,000 plus, they're usually senior, they're usually in sales, and of course they're in financial services. So we've built our own little social persona, if you will, and by knowing that we should be writing content that will appeal to that particular person. But then on the other side, you have got a small handful of people that are not in that massive target audience, but they might be the ones that make that £500,000 purchase. So you still have to create content for those people as well.